Thank you. So welcome everybody. Are there any presents online? We have all the presenters online. Okay. Hello everybody. We are here at the How to Transform Your Outreach Activity into a Business session at ERIM. So let's start doing some housekeeping. So as usual, we have our I run through the slides. We have our housekeeping slide. Today's session is 1 hour and a half. The session will be recorded, so please be aware of this. And the microphones that are on the tables are always on, so all conversations will be recorded. I'm a journalist, so I need to say that don't have private conversations. Everything will be recorded. So I said it. Okay. So we have people joining us online, presenters and participants. So everyone is muted at the beginning. When you enter, please take a seat. I just started with the housekeeping. The conversations will be recorded. Please know that. So everyone is muted and you cannot unmute yourself. But please raise your hand or ask in the chat and we will unmute you. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand or put the question in the question and answer chat. So what is this session about? Oh, okay. I'm waiting a few more minutes for people to come in. Hello, Anita. Welcome. So this is a session about how you should transform your outreach or educational activity into a business. So organizers of this session are Ulysse, who is online, Livia, myself, Pedreira, Thibaut, who is not here at the moment, but who helped us a lot in organizing this session. Then there are two external participants who helped us and who I would like to thank, Zdenek and Claudia, who is sitting right next to me. And how did we organize this session? So it's not easy to understand how to transform an outreach activity into business in all Europe. So we thought that a good starting point was to analyze, to hear the experience from some of the people who have already done it. So we invited a number of panelists. We have a parterre of 5 participants, 5 panelists who will be presenting their outreach activity and who will be explaining to us how they did transform it into a business all around Europe. Because as you will see, they come from different countries and they have different kinds of outreach activities they imagined and they made come alive. So we will start having them explain to us their experience, showing us their outreach activity, and then we will have the possibility to ask questions and to interact with them, trying to have a piece of advice on how to do this on our own if we have an outreach or an educational activity that we would like in the future to transform into a business. So our 5 panelists are written there. We will start with AuLea, who is sitting here with a lot of representatives who will show us a local example of business, very known. I will not say the name of the business, not to spoil the presentation. Then we have Daniel, who is online with Explainables, a business built around the science communication. Then we have Becky Kennedy with Cepheid Studio, who calls herself a scientific artist. I'm very interested. An accurate scientific artist. I'm very curious about her work. Then there is Mariana, who will be presenting the Science Office, which is a science communication activity that Europlanet knows very well. We have collaborated in the years with her. And then there is Luca, who is in presence, who is sitting over there, who will come to present this table when it's his time, who will talk about Paneureka. So, from France. So, as you see, it's from all over Europe. So, let me hand the floor to the first presenters. I don't think I have anything else to ask about the housekeeping. Yes, please. The newcomers can sit down before we start. Don't worry. Just take a seat. Be comfortable. Business. So please take the floor. Do I pronounce it well? AuLea, AuLea,
AuLea.
AuLea. Please.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like very simple. What you can see is almost right now. How would the sky look right now, like at 1430, if it would be presented very artistically, because we took motivation from NASA, which is tuning the colors, but we tuned the sizes. It's a model. It's a screenshot from our model, which we provide for the community, for the astronomical community, to play with. So now, give me a second. The first idea of the model was about. I think I will have more images in the second presentation, but the first idea of the model was like we would like to see the solar system, but if you look totally realistically at it, then from far away, then you would see the sun, but you wouldn't see the planet because they are like quite small. But we would like to see them bigger, so you can see them, play with them, remember them, which is which. And also we wanted it to be interactive and a little bit more playful than the models that were available at the time, because they were like a little bit more hard to play with. You could end up like with the head down and it's up, which is very playful, but this one was more easy to control. What should I say? So it started as like 20 or 13 years ago. It's a small application just for online audience and for later for desktops and much later for mobiles. And now it's like quite a huge application that is used in schools and by enthusiasts and so on.
Like me.
yeah, exactly. Which is great. And there is a lot of people giving us very nice feedback, and that's probably our most important motivation, because that was the reason why we did this. We wanted to play with it ourselves, and then we realized that it could be useful for others, and it could bring more people into the community. So, and much later, much later, we started to look for ways how to do it for a longer time. So how to monetize it a bit and so on. So I'm not a very good speaker, as you can see, because I'm a software developer. So already that I'm sitting here in front of so many people, it's like a little bit making me nervous.
We can say that your software speaks for you.
Yeah, I need this kind of words to present it. This is very good, yeah. So, and then we developed a few more applications. So the first one was solar system scope. That's like the solar system. Now it's also about the galaxy and other star systems and a lot of other things. The very important thing is that you can have a look from wherever you want from the Earth on the sky in whatever time you want. And you can do a lot of things with that. I will talk about that maybe later if there is time. Later we developed for smartphones. Later we developed a virtual reality application using which you can fly around the International Space Station or have a stand or stand on Mars and walk a little bit. I think around Curiosity we have there and so on. And now we developed also virtual reality application where you can be on a little bit lower orbit. The planets are more precise, but it takes a huge amount of data. But that's also for virtual reality, so you can have some experiences, but this is under development also still. So actually the solar system scope is quite developed and other versions are always under development. So more people. Yeah, so I will tell you very little about our model, how we work right now. We have a few ways how we can continue working on this. The first way is we have a lot of enthusiasts working with our application, and we are providing a way which they can support us and by buying our application and similarly. So this is the first way. We are concentrating mostly on the fun part and the most important part, like what we like and what people like, and we provide some channels that we can have also this kind of financial feedback, and it helps a lot. And the second way, we created a box where you have encyclopedia book and virtual reality glasses, not like Google glasses, like just the paper version, into which you have to put a mobile phone and install the application, but still you have quite nice virtual reality experience. And there is also, I think there was the plakat. Poster. There was a poster and some small things other. And we are selling these boxes as a way to support this project. And this is like this works very differently in each country. So it like quite nicely works in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, but a little bit slower in Germany. It depends how we are able to talk to the market. I think this was from. I think this was like the most important thing from this presentation. We have the other one there. Okay. So should I speak about the auditorium? Mám hovoriť o auditoriu?
Nemusíš toto, čo máš povedať, že kde to používame, ako to používame.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. Yeah, maybe yeah, this is the interesting part. So we are also working together with Astronomic Club from Bratislava, and so we have a lot of feedback how it can be used. And for example, here on the left side, you can see just the visualizations of eclipses in space orbits. In the middle, you can look for suitable periods for the observations. This is mostly about the eclipses, and the last image is like estimating the line of totality. So when you look from the sun directly through moon, for example, then you can see approximately where on the Earth, on which time it will be. You can measure the distances in astronomical units. That's the first image. The second is the informations about planets. Yeah, we have a lot of this kind of waves, like you can cut the planet, not in reality, but you can cut it and see what is expected to be inside. Of course, nobody knows, but what was at the time we built it, like expected, like how the planet looks from inside. And the last is which is not very good visible right here, but it's like the night sky from a particular place on Earth. So you can have your mobile in hand and like estimate where should I be looking to find star, moon, or so. Okay. Yeah, here is on the left side the black rectangle where you cannot see almost nothing on the projector, but normally in the application you see there's stars and constellations, and you can switch also names. That we have 19 languages right now, I think, and you see them in their native languages. So, and on the right image you can see you can do searching for nebulae and galaxies in observations. So, there is a lot of stuff. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
How many people are using a number? How many people are using solar system scope? Do you have an idea about that?
Yeah, we have approximate number. I think that
more than 20 million.
More than 20 million. Yeah.
Yes, from all over the world.
From all over the world. You said 90 languages. Has been translated in 90 languages.
For the time being, every year we add some more. Okay. So it's going up.
So it's a very used app all over the world.
Yes. Yeah. So on the Facebook, we have more than 60 followers.
60,000.
60,000, sorry, 60,000 followers. And also we are on the other social media. But the Facebook is the best for the time being.
Yeah.
And is AuLea your full-time job, or are you doing the other activities and developing solar system scope?
This is a very good question. To answer you, we have a lot of people, but not everybody is working 100%. Yeah, I am doing something like 50%. The boss, I don't know, 30%. You, how many? So we are about 6 or 8 people. This is a group of people they want to work, but we do not have a big salary. No.
So this is something to have in mind in the following conversation. So 20 million people and 60,000 people, not full time. Okay.
Yeah. The first 3 or 4 versions were created by 2 people.
Yeah, and every month is coming new. 310,000 in this year. Yeah, so every month 310,000 new people they know it.
Thank you for having given such a good overview of solar system scope. I have seen that you also have the virtual reality set. So at the end of the session, if the participants want to see it, please feel free to talk to AuLea people and ask to see the product. And I'm sure that we will have a lot of questions after the other presentations. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will leave the place.
So you can stay.
Okay.
Just
online.
it for the people in the room. Remember that the microphones are always on, so you are recording no private conversations. Okay, so second person to speak is Daniel, who is online.
Hello.
Hello, Daniel. We don't see you yet, just a second.
On the small one.
It's on the other one.
So you will be presenting Explainables. That is a society in science communication. That's your business.
Okay, great. So, thanks for having me. Yes, I want to tell you a bit about our project Explainables in this context of starting a business out of your outreach activities. Just briefly introducing myself. So I'm Daniel Angerhausen. I'm a senior scientist at ETH in Zurich. So about 60% of my time, I'm working as a project scientist for the LIFE telescope. So I'm an astrophysicist by training, and I'm just doing regular project scientist work for 60% of the time. And then 40% of my time, I'm doing all other crazy things, and maybe half of it, so 20% of my time is this work at Explainables. So Explainables, brief overview in numbers. So since 2016, this is when we started. So I was still in the US at this time. Other questions? So I have a sound in the background. Maybe you can mute on your end for this. I can unmute you. Ah, great. So unmute yourself if you have a question. So 2016 we started. So that was I was still in the US. So this is also the reason why we are a US-based 501c3 nonprofit. So we are a part of the Blue Marble Science Institute, Blue Marble Space Institute of Science, which helped us a lot as a kind of incubator for starting our business. At the moment, most of our clients are in Switzerland because I moved to Switzerland and expanded my network here. And of course, it's not so easy to go back to the US just to give a workshop and then fly back. So most of the work is here in my surroundings. And the main work that we are doing are professional development workshops and seminars, sometimes also personal trainings and things like that. So everything that makes scientists better communicators and mostly inside of academia. And I'll come back to this in a bit. So we are 3 founders. So one colleague in the US, Jesse John in Brooklyn, in New York. He's a geologist by training, PhD. Then the second founder is Amran Saleh from Hamburg. He's a graphic designer and exhibition curator. So he's bringing a bit this creative side. And I'm, as I said, a trained astrophysicist. Also worked on both sides of the Atlantic and things like that. So that's the 3 founders. And then we have a bunch of what we call associates. So people who help us if there's a big workshop or people who have their own content they want to present with us. But in the core, it's the 3 founders of us. And right now we are making between 50 and 100K, you know, you name the US dollar, euro, francs. At the moment is everything pretty much the same revenue per year. And since we are in the service and there's not much, you know, overheads and stuff, you can also imagine how that translates, right? So that's just the numbers. So what I want to show you briefly, this is some of the clients we work with. So our client base is pretty diverse. So from, you know, minority serving colleges in the US, advertising agencies, we work with NASA, ESA, the space agencies. We worked with the AppGradCon, Astrobiology Graduate Student Conference. We worked with a bunch of NCCRs, so National Competence Centers for Research here in Switzerland, some universities. So mainly with the professional development and transferable skills offices at the university. So usually these universities give workshops, skill trainings for students, grad students, postdocs to learn skills beyond, you know, their academic expertise. And this is where we usually come in. But we also work with, you know, grad student associations or, you know, other nonprofits, things like that. So just a rough overview who our partners, who our clients are. And where we are coming from, and this is maybe one of the talking points that I want to make here, is that science communication is more than outreach. And I think this is one of the biggest, not mistakes, but maybe biggest misunderstandings. So if people hear science communication, they think it's outreach. So it's like you give a talk at a school, you know, present at the planetarium, you design a museum exhibition. But for us, science communication is really every situation where scientists communicate. So if you present at conferences, if you talk at your group meetings, if you converse with your peers at conferences, if you make a poster, if you make a slide, if you write a proposal, if you write a paper, that's all science communication for us. And that's where we are coming from. And this is where we mainly coach people in. And for the rest of the talk, I want to show you some stuff from our personal branding in academia workshop. So this is one of the packages, one of the workshops that we give is to teach early career scientists how to develop their brand, how to find their niche in academia, how to market themselves in the academic market, how to define what their product is that they share with their peers. And I want to take some of the concepts that we teach for the academic branding in this workshop that actually also apply to what we went through when we branded Explainables. And one of the first things is listen to others with the intent of how can I help? So that's a mistake on both sides, right? So in academia, people think, oh, I'm programming this code and then I'm going to convince everyone that that's the best code, right? Or we started to, we do outreach training and then we will show everyone how important outreach training is. But then we figured out that it's not what people need. So we had like a classroom full of grad students and, you know, it was even hard to maybe fill this outreach workshop because they have other needs. like your average grad student, maybe some of you in the audience, how many outreach talks do you give a year? Maybe 1, 2. But how often do you speak in your group meeting? How often do you make a poster? How often do you write a proposal, right? So then that's really how we listened to our participants, and they told us, yeah, nice outreach workshop, but I really would like to know how to write a proposal, or I might want to know how to diffuse conflicts in my team and project management. So we really listened to our audience and then adapted our program in this direction. And this is then also the feedback we got after our workshops. I wish I had these lessons before I attended the conference, before I started this fellowship. I started writing my proposals. So it's really also nice feedback we give, and that shows us that we actually listened and really apply our services to what actually our clients need, and don't dictate them what we think they should need, right? Another tip is if you design a brand or if you design a product, and this also actually works for storytelling and proposal writing even, you always need a mixture of unique and familiar. So it has to be something that people are familiar with, but in the best case, you give it a unique touch. And this is true for all products. If you think about Google, they didn't invent online searches, right? They were not the first search engine, but they did something unique with it, right? Apple didn't invent the phone, right? But they did something special with it, and it's the same in storytelling, right? If you look at TV show stories that you like, you take something unique and something familiar, mix it, and then you get a nice story, right? You take a chemistry teacher, he becomes the drug lord, you get Breaking Bad. You take a game show, you kill people, you get a Squid Game. And then it's similar for a product and maybe also a service that you establish. So try something familiar that people can connect with, but then give it your unique spin. And what our unique and familiar at Explainables is, so we took a lot of content from typical coaching. So if you get a professional coach, theater coaches, improv trainings, typical project management courses, but did these courses as scientists from academia. And I think this is the main difference. If you have a typical coach in these workshops, they have no clue what's going on in academia. But most of our coaches at Explainables, we've been at grad school. I know what imposter syndrome is. I know how hard it is to write a PhD thesis in a foreign language, how effed up our job market is. So that really gives us the benefit of the doubt, and also helps us to dive way deeper into helping these people by not just giving them generic communication training, but really tailored this communication training to their reality in academia. And this is something, a concept that's really, really powerful, this unique and familiar. And this really also again reflects in the feedback we get. So here, Shashi from Intel, he attended one of our workshops, and he really congratulated us for being able to kind of like unlock and access these scientists, right? We all know how socially awkward some of us sometimes are, but if they see one of them in front of them, it makes it much easier to also step out of your comfort zone, do a bit exercises that you wouldn't normally do to become a better communicator. Yeah, with that being said, just briefly some of the stuff that we are doing. So maybe some of you are interested. I think it might even help people if you want to start a business. So what we do is the storytelling and message distilling, this personal branding in academia, which I talked about. We do poster and presentation design, and also proposal writing workshops. So this is roughly the main sellers. We also, if we have a special topic right now, for example, people are asking us doing workshops in how to use generative AI models in academia. So we are developing a new class in this direction. We have a special course for refugees that go to university here in Bern. So also if you have, an idea, or also if you have your own, coursework that you want to funnel through us, contact us. And I think this is all I had to show today. Thanks for your attention. So I muted you, so you have to unmute yourself, otherwise I can't hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Daniel, thank you for the presentation. I also wanted to tell you that the name Explainables, I love it. I mean, it's real storytelling in a name. Really good.
Thank you. Yes.
Should we applaud one more time because he didn't hear it?
Yeah. I saw it. Thank you.
Thank you. You're right. So we will have time for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. So I will just give the stage to the third speaker, who is Becky Kennedy. As I said, she is a scientific, accurate scientific artist. So I'm very curious for a presentation. Becky, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Just a second. Hello. Just a second, we are switching screens. Can you share your slide, please?
I'm afraid I can't. I've had a Wi-Fi disaster and I'm now in a field.
Oh, that's beautiful. Fantastic. Just a second, we will share your slide.
Thank you so much. I've driven to the next valley so I can connect to the next Wi-Fi tower because our whole valley has gone down 3 minutes into this call.
Stay there.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we did it. Please, take your time.
Thanks. So hi, I'm Becky. I founded my business Cepheid Studio either 10 years ago or in 2017, depending on how you look at it. I started my business alongside my master's studies 10 years ago and rebranded as Cepheid Studio in 2017, just after I finished my PhD in observational astronomy. What I do is I make astronomically accurate goods and accessories from my home, and I use all the academic data that I've collected during my years as an astronomy student to create the sort of things I wish existed when I was studying. So, for example, if I make a necklace with the planets on, it's not a cartoon of them. All the sizes are to scale, the distances between them, and so on. And one of my most popular pieces this year, or last year particularly, was the JWST mirrored necklace, which shows the 18 panels of the James Webb Space Telescope.
We see it, Becky, we are seeing it on the slide.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I sell my designs directly to customers through my own website, but also to museums across the world and also to NASA, which is kind of a dream of mine since I went to the NASA shop when I was a child. So I've kind of created a business that works both my lifestyle and also my day-to-day working life. It takes the parts of academia that I love, the creativity, the data, transforming that into something consumable, but throws away all the bits of academia that I didn't like. So my notes are back at home, obviously, not in the field with me. But I just wanted to talk briefly about turning your academic work into an outreach activity that can then become a business, because I think it's something that a lot of people would like to do but don't know where to start. And I think there is never a good time to do it. If I was going to start a business, I probably wouldn't have chosen to do it during my master's if I'd really thought about it. But when the inspiration strikes, you've just got to go with it, I suppose. And yeah, I wish I had my notes here right now. Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to say is, alongside being able to pick and choose the bits of academia that I wanted in the business I created, it also brought a lot of other skills in that I needed that I didn't necessarily know about beforehand, which are up there on the slide. So not only do you have to have a business idea and the desire to do it, but you also have to know what you don't know. And that can be a little more tricky for the accounting side, marketing, photography. There is a passerby waving at us. Yeah, all the things you don't know. But as researchers, that's a great place to start, because you've spent all this time researching your chosen subject. Now you need to research how to file taxes for an individual business in the country you reside in. So I think, in a nutshell, that's a presentation of my business. Little more slapdash than I hoped it would be. Apologies for that, but thank you for your patience.
Hi, Becky. Thanks a lot for your presentation. Perhaps maybe you could add a couple of things about how your day-to-day work, how your typical day, if it ever exists, happens, and what you like most and what you don't, or how you manage to combine everything into a lifestyle that works for you and what could be useful also to others.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much for the prompt. One of the biggest transitions for me going from being a PhD student to running my own business was no longer having the structure of, say, weekly meetings with a supervisor or journal clubs, weekly talks, that sort of thing. So structuring my time was really important from the start. And it's so easy nowadays with emails coming in on your phone and things like that and social media to get distracted from the task in hand. So while my day can be flexible, I generally start the first hour of the day dealing with emails, whether that's replying to them, getting them gone instantly, or saving them and noting down I'm going to do more work and reply to them later. Then, because I'm a product-based business, I make everything and design everything in-house. So then I get to the making. I have a laser cutter that I use, and again, as a scientist, I love efficiency, stacking tasks as best I can. So I set the laser cutter going to cut out the designs that have been ordered while I pack ones that have been finished the previous day, send those orders out, and then spend the afternoon planning marketing strategy, which quite often for an independent business is social media based, but also curating a newsletter and mailing list, which is super important because not having to rely on multiple social media platforms is just so important. If they ever get shut down, your account gets deleted, people move on to a different platform, you'll still have your core newsletter of people who genuinely want to hear from you and see what new content you have. And then, yeah.
Sorry, another question. Are you working alone or do you have collaborators at this?
I work alone, which is a choice. I personally thrive on making my own structure and being able to be flexible when I can. So the idea of reporting to someone else or someone else waiting on stuff from me is quite stressful. So being able to choose to just work alone is just perfect for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
We will have time to ask you more questions at the end of the presentation. Let's run to the fourth speaker, who is Mariana, who is running a Portuguese SME producing science communication content. So Mariana, are you with us? Different country, different experience, different point of view.
Okay. I'm here on behalf of the science office. This is our motto, we communicate science. Basically, in a nutshell, we produce science communication content for several platforms, but mainly video. So video and graphics. Can you go forward? Okay, just a brief our history. We started we created the company, me and three other partners in 2008 in Portugal. At the time, we all worked in a science center, a planetarium. I myself don't have any scientific academic background, but my colleagues were all astronomers. We developed a lot of activities at the science center, and then we kind of thought that there was a niche there that we could explore, because the market at the time, at least in Portugal, there wasn't a lot of well, there wasn't any offer of what we considered would be useful content for mostly for the general audience. This was always our main focus, was to create content that would interest the main audience and make the general audience more interested in science. That was our main goal at the beginning. In 2009, we had our first big break with the International Year of Astronomy. I was working at the Secretariat, and so was one of my partners, Pedro Russo. He was the manager of the International Year of Astronomy. And we came up with this idea of making a TV series where we would use famous people in Portugal, from actors, singers, TV presenters, who would each one of them would present a very short clip explaining one concept about astronomy. And we presented this idea to the Portuguese television and to the Portuguese Astronomical Science, and they thought it was a big idea, and so we kind of dove in and we made our big first project for TV, which went very well and gave us the motivation to continue with more projects. And then 2 years later, we had another international year related to science, which was the chemistry. And again, we had another idea that we proposed to a university in Portugal. And at the time, and you'll know why I'm talking about these particular projects later, is there was an opportunity because there was a funding available, European funding that the Portuguese government was allowing universities to bid for, which was, so the universities or institutes, scientific institutes could apply for funding to develop mass media products. So the government wanted the universities to create communication content for the general audience. For TV would be their preferred platform. So we contacted the University of Aveiro with our idea. We found a very good partnership with them, and we created a project called The Chemistry of Things, which involved 26 episodes for TV, and then a web app, and also a website, a book, several platforms. And this is, I think, one of my favorite projects so far. And then with the same funding, we contacted another university, this time in Porto. If you could go please to the next slide. And with another idea that was something called Science by Kids, which in which we used children explaining scientific concepts with another look, very more childish, but the concepts were grown up, so to say. And this was also a big success, and it was also on TV, and it was even shortlisted for the European Science TV and New Media Festival, the Europos. So this was how we started. So we had a few ideas, and then we found useful partnerships, and also we used an opportunity, funding opportunity that existed. And this gave us the basis to then develop the company more and more. And if you could please move forward. And then finally, we found another partnership with a company based in the Netherlands called EGR Quartz that works for ESA a lot, for the European Space Agency, and we contacted them. They create a lot of science communication content, but written content. So they didn't have anyone to do the visual part. So we teamed up with them, and our first project with them was Paxi, a cartoon with whose main character is the Easy Education mascot, Paxi. And we started doing that in 2012, and we're still doing it. So we're now finishing episodes 15 and 16, I think, which will be released later this year, so I can't tell you much about them. And then another major event in our brief history was being invited by Europlanet to join their consortium, and being responsible within this consortium for the outreach and engagement work package, which was a huge work for us and gave us a lot of experience, and allowed us to develop a lot of very interesting content. It was a challenge, and it was also a big opportunity. And we did some of our best work within this project, I think. Can you please go to the next slide? Okay, and from then on, I guess this was the final push we needed in terms of going international. So since then, we've been doing dozens of projects. They're all available on our website if you care to have a look. And we do, as I said, mostly video, both in 3D and 2D. But we've done other things like develop data visualization software and planetarium shows, for instance, just to give you a few examples. You can move forward, please, Livia. These are just images of some of our videos. And forward. Yeah, and where are we now? I talked about the first project we did in 2012 with EGR Quartz, and then we got to a place where most of our work was with them, and most of our clients came through them in joint projects where they took care of the writing of scripts for our videos, etc., and we took care of the visual. This partnership was so good that in 2019 we got married, let's say. So we are now part of the same group of companies. EGR acquired the Science Office, and now we are now officially part of the Content Matters group, which includes the two EGR Quartz companies, one based in Leiden in the Netherlands, the other one in Frascati in Italy, and the Science Office. And this allowed us to be part of even more projects and to have, of course, a lot more stability. So, and what started with 4 friends having this crazy idea of starting a company is now, well, it's been my full-time job for the last 10 years. And we're now a staff of 4 full-time employees, and then we team up with other companies or with freelancers, depending on our needs for some of our projects. And that's basically the Science Office in a nutshell. So I'm then available for any questions you might have at the end. And thanks for your time. And congratulations also to my other panelists. I am amazed by your projects. They're all great and very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. So another point of view, as you see, we are moving across Europe and we are seeing different examples of business and different examples of ideas. So our last speaker is in the room, not online. Yes, please come over so they can see you from online.
Stay there. Please. No, I stay. I stand behind you.
Okay. As you wish.
I'm very respectful. Solar system scope. So
No,
you sit there.
Can you?
No, I insist.
No, please. No, I prefer to stand.
Okay.
The voice comes out.
Okay.
Is the microphone already integrated?
No, it's in the room.
Microphone
It's
is here,
everywhere.
that's it.
Big brother.
Can you hear me? Well?
Yes.
Hopefully. Okay, so my name is Luca Montabone, Italian from the origin, but now living in France. The logo that you see is the logo of the company that I created in 2014. You click. I can click on this. Which one? Right. So if we click, we see an animation with a full name, which is Paneureka, or you can pronounce it Paneureka in Italian or Paneureka in French. So it depends where you're coming from. I didn't translate in 19 or 90 languages, but
I will.
still, I probably will. Okay, where is it based? So we have the Earth, and we hopefully zoom in. So the company is based in France, in southeast France, in a very nice area in the department of Savoie. And in particular, I have based the company in a science and technological park called Savoie Technolac, which is a very good, very nice reality next to a lake. So it's also beautiful to visit. Please come if you want to visit me. The good thing of setting up a company in this context is that you have access to a lot of other companies. You have access to the University of Savoie-Mont Blanc, and you have access to public research centers. So there are opportunities to network and to create collaborations. And if you need something, you have companies around you to provide you with help. Okay. What is the scope of the company? Well, actually, from the very beginning, Paneureka wanted to do an integration of three things: research, training, and outreach. And in fact, the name Paneureka comes out of a neologism putting together two Greek words, pan, which means all, and eureka, which means I found. So the idea of the company is to say, hey, I found it all at the end of doing research, training, and outreach, or vice versa, doing outreach, training, and research. So the three things for me are part of the same quest to get knowledge, and then hopefully some money as well, because at the end of the day, you have to live with that, right? So we are talking about outreach here. So let's see what we did in terms of outreach. We tried several things. I'm presenting two main projects. So the first big project that I started, that was in 2015. It was a year when in France there was a partial solar eclipse. So we wanted to go and reach out schools to see the sun, to watch the sun with glasses. And the same year, then I came up with the idea of doing a sun festival, or Fête du Soleil in French. So the idea of this Fête du Soleil actually comes back to Eiffel, who at the beginning of 20th century started himself a Fête du Soleil. So we got this idea, tried to make it like 21st century idea. So it was meant to be a weekend-long kind of science fair with a lot of partner organizations. I wasn't doing the outreach activities on my own, but I was trying to invite many other actors in the area, not only in France, actually, from Switzerland as well, to do different outreach activities, but always focused on the theme of the sun and what the sun does in our life, So light, energy, and of course, a lot about gravity as well. So the idea was to either talk about, the light that comes from the sun, or the impact of the sun into the climate, or, just generally speaking, sun and planets, and how dynamics works, and other things. Aurora, you see here many activities. Some of those were also practical, like we were inviting a public research center working on solar energy, and we had a solar event with the little cars. So it went on for 4 years, 2015, 2018. Then we knew that the COVID was coming, so we stopped before, right? No, we didn't.
You're the one.
No, we didn't. No, to be honest, I'm very proud of presenting this project. First, because I loved it and it was a great fun. Second, because it's an example of outreach that does not translate at all well into business. Okay, so I'm giving you an example of things not to do. Right? Why is it not working? My experience is that it's not working because it takes a lot of time to organize such a festival. In France, at least, we have already like several other science festivals, so it's very difficult to compete. And you can never compete because the other science festivals are nationwide organized, so there's a lot of organization going on. Here we can only be reduced. Paneureka is not focused on outreach, so we have a limited resources. It's very difficult to get any funding, any sponsor from local governments. It's almost impossible. We don't want the public to pay the ticket because it's a principle. But where do you get the money from, right? So a lot of time, very little margin, not good for business, right? So that's why we stopped, not because of COVID. But of course, if a posteriori, if we were hit by COVID and that was the only business, it would have crashed anyway. So there might be other ways to organize these kind of things. I have ideas, but for the time being, we are in standby. Sorry, too much standby. This is the second project I would like to talk to you about. It's called the Choreotron. Maybe there is a better name, but actually, if I can do a survey, if you have a better name, please help me. What is it? So it's a totally different project. So here we are talking about a machine. So the need is to show students and people, general public, what is the effect of rotation in planetary atmospheres, for example, or in fluid dynamics in general, right? Because indeed Paneureka works in two main themes, like planetary science and Mars atmosphere in particular, and vortex dynamics, which are my own favorite themes. So there exists already in the world many facilities that use rotating platforms to show the effect of rotation in fluids. Basically, the idea is to transform the curved Earth into a flat surface and make it rotate to show, how the Coriolis force, that's why it's called Choreotron, Coriolis force, and centrifugal force work. And there are also other small devices for very easy outreach events. But the advantage of what we're trying to do here is that we want to create a high quality machine, which is not only good for showing off to some general public, but it's also can also be used for training, students training, to really do experiments of fluid dynamics. At the same time, we want to make it foldable, and we want it to fit into a suitcase. You see a picture in the center. So it really folds up and fits into suitcase, so you can move it, transport it. You basically do outreach on the move. You go to do outreach somewhere instead of people coming to see your device. Sorry, to see your device in your laboratory or whatever. Okay, and the proof that it works in terms of folding and transporting is that I brought it here. Okay, so hopefully, if it's still working. Later on, after the Europlanet General Assembly, I'm going to set it up and I show you how it works, at least how it looks like, and then hopefully how it works as well. So just to be sure that nothing has been broken during transportation, if we can just activate the movie, at least you will see what it can produce. There's no audio, right? Is there any audio that we can listen? The reason why it's interesting to listen to the audio, if we don't have it, it's fine. But it's because, right, I was doing this at the science fair, and you can hear the voices of the kids when I was doing the experiment. So the experiment is part science, is part art. So you can create interesting things visually, and kids loved it. So I'm not sure if the business will ever work, but in terms of outreach return, the project is really worth it. So I leave you maybe with 1 minute of kids enjoying this experiment. You can watch it as well, and then I can take questions if you have any.
Do you want me to translate the Italian kids?
If you want. Actually, the Italian kids in France. So yeah, they are excited about the vortex.
Vortex.
So here in this particular experiment, I was trying to create a polar vortex. And these structures exist in real planet atmospheres. You see in Jupiter, you see in Saturn, and actually you see in all planets with an atmosphere. So with this machine, we can create the basic principles. Of course, we cannot explain everything about the polar vortices, but we can at least create a framework within which the vortex can be seen in the rotating frame. I don't know if you noticed, but you were turning with the tank, okay? And there is a camera that is independent with the rotating platform, so you can either look at the experiment in the laboratory frame or in the rotating frame. We still have issues of synchronization, but the idea is to really have them synchronized. So it's like rotating with the system, so that you see things much better than if you just look at something rotating in front of you, right? And there is a very interesting experiment you can do with a ball, but I don't spoil my experiment. Okay. And I hope this will work, but I don't know yet.
So it's
forgot to say, it's sponsored by Europlanet Society French Hub grant, which is very important.
This is very important. Yes, thank you. So we have time for questions and answers, but I will take advantage of my position, and I will do the first question, if you don't mind. And the first question is, what can Europlanet, how can it fit inside this picture? So is there something that Europlanet can do actively to help us develop a new business out of an outreach idea, an outreach project, aside from the prizes, the things that we already heard about? So can I ask this question to you, Lothar? Can you tell us a few words about
Yeah, well, I'm representing a very, very small non-profit company in Germany, which we actually set up due to the trouble with the Brexit, and also the situation that Europlanet Society officially is not allowed to do businesses. So there's a small non-profit company in Germany called FTP Europlanet, Gemeinnützige Unternehmergesellschaft, which is the German word, which means it's non-profit and it's applicable for donations, and we can do these things.
Stand up, we can hear you
Yeah.
better, sorry.
So we have set up a base to make this possible in the future. However, it's just the base. So 100% of the staff members are here, and I do it part-time. But yes, to avoid the problem that the society itself can't run businesses, we have these opportunities, and one of them is the little non-profit company, which is under preparation or just set up at the moment. So that's open for all kinds of businesses. If we need it, we can sell things in theory, all kinds of. We are just not allowed to make a profit. So all profit goes directly back into astronomical education. So that's the plan of FTP Europlanet. Yeah, that's it in short words. What we have been setting up, not just for this thing, the main thing is the connection between the UK and Europe after Brexit, so we can help EU projects running in the UK and so on.
But I think this is something very important to have in mind, because if we summarize all we have heard, we have been talking about patience, about knowing things that we don't know to get your business run, but also about collaboration. And I think that having a partner that helps you in developing all the administrative, all the aspects that you can't manage yourself, I think it's very important for someone starting a business. So I think this is some good news for people who are in the Europlanet network and who have a new idea in outreach, a new project that they can think of transforming into a business. So let's open the floor to other questions. I have a lot of questions in my mind, but please, I don't want to take too much advantage of my position. If there are other questions, please, this is your time. Are there questions online as well? Yes.
Livia, there are questions online.
Yes. Do the
yes.
our online moderator, please.
Yes. Vix, do you want to ask your question, or do you want me to read what you wrote in the chat?
Please read what's in the chat, because we don't.
Okay, I'll read what's in the chat then. It's easy, probably easier.
Sorry, if there is someone who wants to connect and show us his or her face and ask directly the question, yes, please. I mean,
okay,
as you wish.
So the option is open. Okay, so I saw in the chat Vix is okay with me reading the question. So Vix commented on Becky's presentation and said that she looked at her website with some really great items, and she was wondering, how do you get over any copyright issues with your stellar imagery? And I would like then to extend that question to others whenever you are selling a product or something that might be protected by copyright or might be licensed in any way, even if it's a service. How do you approach that? Becky?
So for me, the majority of my designs have come from either my own head or my own data, which doesn't come under copyright. That's absolutely fine. But for example, they might be talking about, on a couple of things, I use images from JWST that have just come in. And it is super important to make sure that you know what the copyright permissions are on anything before you even begin to think about using it. So the great thing about the JWST images is that there are very clear rules on what you can use them for, what you can't use them for, and if you do use them, what sort of credit do you give. So just online research to make sure that either you're using it with no need for permission, or if you do need permission, ask for it, get it in writing, make sure everything is clear before you go ahead.
I think we are very lucky in astronomy, because most of the images that we get from space missions or telescopes have permissions to be used in different ways. So it is very important, but I think there are other fields in which this problem is even worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Other questions? Other comments?
I do. Please. I have a question for the solar system, okay. For the software crew. Which were the aspects that made that moved your software development on and on, in the sense that so you have to certainly guarantee a good software development strategy, view, process. And beyond that, how does that work about stores, formats, packaging formats, in the making, the roles that initially 2 of you had to do, now 8 of you, as far as I understood. So what are the marketing or social media participation? What are the elements in there key to the success that you have nowadays?
Yeah, I think we were lucky from the start because when we started with this software, then it was a little bit unique. There was always other kind of software similar, but this was like simple, easy to use, nice. That means like kids wanted to play with it, and also older people. So it was like appealing. And we have also our own textures, which are based on NASA textures and other textures. But sometimes so some of them, most of them are color adjusted, and we always play with light in scene and so on. So one part of it was like, it was appealing. We started online and absolutely free. We are free until now, but you can support us. But at that time, we were only free. And we were able to make it, at that time, we were able to make it so that we were building on another platform. Now we are also online, but we are building on Unity 3D JavaScript technical stuff. But at that time, the Flash was available almost everywhere. And we managed to do the 3D stuff in Flash, even when in Flash it was not available with a few fine tunings. And we were able to, this technical stuff is just that I can explain you. We were able to create a model that others were able to embed into their websites. So we were serving not only final users, but also to other pages that could use it. We just wanted for them to mention us that like we are using these models. For some time we were on NASA page, or some NASA pages. I think it was with the Venus eclipse in 2000. Zamknęło Wenusie. 2016. 2012. Okay, sorry. No numbers, no names. I can't remember anything. I'm a very good special agent. Okay, so that was one thing. And so the people used on a lot of these things on their websites, but then they linked towards us. So we were like giving a lot and receiving a lot. And that was very, very good. And we made a lot of mistakes on the run, so it could be like even better, but everybody learns on the run. Okay, so that was maybe the most important part. And we always pushed a lot of enthusiasm into it. And somehow magically, and this is also important, it is not the only part, but the people can feel when there is some radiation of happiness. Yeah.
I see her hands up. So they say something, because I'm a user of solar system.
Yeah. You too. What
we all I mean, I couldn't make it without solar system scope. I mean, every time I go to a school to do a presentation, I use solar system scope, and I never had any negative feedback. On the opposite, like when you start with, I have the old version, by the way, not with you. When you start with your nice music, beginning, you create an atmosphere, and all of a sudden, you know, the kids are attracted, and then you have all these, you know, planets that comes up, and then you click, you have the core.
Easy to use.
Easy, very, you don't say easy, very easy, very, very easy to use, and very attractive. The kids love it. The kids love to have different languages. Sometimes I go to classes where, you know, in Italy or in France, you have maybe, I don't know, like Ukrainian people there, and all of a sudden you put the names in Ukrainian, and they're like, wow, amazing. So, you know, it was very cheap when I bought it. Now, if they decide all of a sudden, hey, we have to make a profit, we will sell it for whatever, 100 euros, I will be ready to pay. because I've been using it and it was so great that I cannot make without it now. So
Wow.
So
it's a
basically, we have
business
two lessons learned. The first one is that the object, the product needs to be easy,
Yeah.
nice, and accessible.
accessible
And the
even in
second-
price at the beginning.
And the second one is that you need to make people pay the price that they.
Well, once you have how many people? 20 million people were using it.
Yeah. But
I mean, even
total
if
majority.
just like 10% of it would give you 10 euros. No.
Yeah, but you know, we have a lot of people supporting us from Europe and USA, but much less people supporting us from India because for them it's still big money.
Of course.
Probably,
It doesn't-
probably, I suppose.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You make the price, it's your own choice. But what I'm saying is, you know, now that you spread it so well, I think people will be happy to pay to use it because it's really useful. You know.
But you know, Luca, coming from outreach, I share their same vision. I think that we all work to make science as spread as lot as possible. So I think this is the starting point for people who work in outreach. So you need to find a good balance between business and outreach.
Totally agree. And after 2 weeks, you will see the new price.
Then I get 1%, right?
No.
If it works, yes.
Now, what I'm saying is that the business model might not necessarily be to make a profit.
Yeah.
But to have enough funding to then improve the product and to do other
exactly.
outreach projects. The problem with outreach is not to make profit, because you know, if you really want to make profit, you don't do outreach. You do other stuff. But the problem is to get funded to do outreach. And in order to get funded, sometimes you have to self-fund yourself. How do you self-fund? Either you put money yourself, which is not good, or you have to sell your product to self-fund yourself.
Yep.
I see there is another.
Yeah,
question
but
in
maybe
the-
this one is following the conversation.
Yeah, it looks like the explainables paradigm is making profit, or at least is making a living. So how could that be? How can we use that paradigm into our outreach activities?
Daniel, did you hear this easy question?
Yes. So one thing, and this connects to the conversation before. I think one of the big problems is that in general people always assume outreach has to be free, and I'm really strongly against it, because exactly that happens. If some people offer, I mean, we have seen this in a couple of examples here, right? If some people offer it for free to all the audiences, you can't really get money. You can really get income from it, right? So and if you do outreach for like underprivileged people in the school, then it's of course great if you do it for free. But if you do it for privileged people already, then ask them for money, and ask them for the money that you would earn in the same time in your normal job. Your job as a scientist is not to give free handouts just because you're paid by tax dollars, right? No firefighter or no policeman is doing outreach because they're paid by the tax. So this is something I'm really against it, and you know, I die on this hill. And then when it comes to, and then in the same realm, it's really about quality control. Don't get lowballed. So this is really what we did with Explainables. You know, also because we couldn't scale. Well, I have like 1 day a week to work on it, so I can give 20 workshops a year. And you know, then this is a knob we can turn, right? So if someone comes and wants to do a workshop for like 200 euros, I just can't do it, because that's, you know, that's how much my train costs to go there, right? So, and then by that, you know, by establishing certain quality standards by pricing, I think it helps a lot to also make, you know, maybe not a profit, but you know, at least get the money that you would earn, you know, that you get in your normal job in the same time.
I think this is very good advice. And I was wondering if Mariana has an additional piece of advice on this. Thank you, Daniel. Precious.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Daniel said. Is that, well, at least in the science office, we treat this as a business. We sell scientific content, but we could be selling shoes or cars. our posture is our work has a lot of quality and we get paid for it. We don't I think that maybe I gave the wrong impression in the beginning of my talk. In the beginning, we worked a lot with funding, but that funding that we helped secure was to pay for our work. And today we work as a normal company. We the clients order their ask us for their projects. We give them a quote, they accept or not, and then we get paid. And our staff gets paid high salaries, higher than average here in Portugal, because that's the way you can keep a good team. You need to find the right people to work with you. They have to be very good and they have to be paid very well. So today we have 4 people working full time, same as in another company in another area. I agree with Daniel. I don't know why people keep thinking that outreach should be free. I mean, maybe it should be free for the audience.
Yeah.
Our main client is ESA, for instance. They pay us and then they put our stuff on their website for free. Okay, great. But our work has to be paid. We're professionals like everyone else.
Thank you. I think there is another question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I had a comment to answer part of your question. How to succeed it? I published a book for kids. The day it was published, we sold 1,000 copies, and now it's bestseller in Czech. We sold it more than 10,000 copies. It's the rights were sold to China, to Netherlands, to other countries. And I'm a planetary science. I'm not a writer. I'm not an illustrator, but still it was a success. How is what possible? Because of the social networks. I'm using the social networks quite a lot. I have a huge audience of fans or followers, to say it like that. And I was always sharing what I'm doing, that I'm writing a book, and so on and so on. And I'm offering them a scientific content. Every night I'm writing something about the science. So once they learn that there will be a book, they just bought it, a huge amount of them. And even without the help of a huge publishing house, you are able to do it by yourself. Of course, if you are cooperating with a publishing house, it's much easier, because after my part on the Twitter or on social platforms, then the big publishing house took control and they were paying advertisement in the TV news and everywhere. So then the numbers skyrocket. But the social networks today is the way how you can start to sell your stuff quite easily, even from the zero, even if you don't have anything in the beginning.
Can you tell us your name?
Yes, sir. I'm Petr Brož from Institute of Geophysics of the Czech Academy of Sciences.
In
Your social
Czech Republic.
network.
Yeah, so I'm working in the Czech Academy of Sciences and doing volcanoes on Mars.
Show us
Yeah.
Can you
I
pass it along?
I can share it. Feel free to do so. So yeah, this is just a case that to show that there is a way how to go from science really into the outreach and get the money from that. At the moment, I'm already signing a contract for the 3rd book. The 2nd one is going to be published in 1 month, and it's making me like maybe, I don't know, 25% of my year's salary is because of the books, which is not as bad.
25%.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So
maybe we can hear Becky on this also, promoting yourself on social media and how you sell products via social media, because Becky, you mentioned that a bit, but you probably have a bit more to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most important kind of ways of bringing people to my business is word of mouth. So I use media kind of personally to promote myself. I find that particularly on Twitter, well, not the last few months because Twitter's, not what it was, but people use that to communicate with each other, to talk about my brand, which is incredible, because a word of nation on social media that can transcend continents is so valuable to an independent business like to get people to find my business, find my site, because I make something so specific that if someone searches for solar system necklace or scientifically accurate jewelry, they come straight to me. They buy it, they love it, and part of that is making sure that I have a product that I truly believe in and that people will love when it arrives. But then they want to talk about that with the people they know and end up doing the advertising for me, which makes me really happy, but is also great for business. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Thank you, Becky. Yes, it was really useful. So I think we have run out of time. I'm sorry about this. Are there other questions?
Anita.
Anita, yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, hi to Mariana in particular, and I've dropped the link to...
Long time.
Hi, and I've dropped the links to the wonderful videos that you made for us by Science Office, as you say. They're brilliant, they're creative, we really love them. They're there in 5 languages, they're still getting lots and lots and lots of views, so please take a look at them and use them if they're appropriate, or use them in your events and other bits and pieces. There a lot of thought and creativity and love from Science Office went into them. The other thing I just wanted to say about funding is, you know, even just to reiterate again, within proposals, we're talking about business, but within proposals and with academic life, it's one thing if you as researchers are supported to do outreach within your work and that fits within the hours that you're paid for to go out into schools or do whatever. Okay, that's part of your job. But I mean, certainly in putting in proposals to do other research things, if there is an outreach element to it, it should be properly costed. It shouldn't be...
And properly done.
And properly done. It should be treated as a professional activity. It shouldn't be a few €1,000 that you have left over that you'll then promise the earth again. It should be done by professionals, like some of the people that we have here, great partners to potentially take things forward that you have today. But it should never be treated as a hobby. It needs to be done properly.
I think this is very important to be said. I'm sure that in this room we all agree on this topic. We need this idea to go in the minds of people writing down scientific proposals. And yes, of course, I fully share this vision. So we had an overview of different projects going from software to hardware, small projects, big projects, big agencies, offices, from all over Europe. I'm sure that belonging to different countries, living in different countries makes things harder or easier for someone who wants to start a business. This is not an easy conversation to do, not an easy analysis to do. We should do it at some point. But I really thank all the participants to this session, because I think you really gave us in a few minutes your experience, your passion, and your knowledge, your know-how. So thank you very much to all of you. And let's continue trying to transform outreach activities into businesses. Thank you.
Thanks, Livia.
Thanks.
Thank you to all the participants online. It was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much. And Ulysse, thank you as well.